just get their foot in the door.
Get their foot in the door. Sometimes people might get like, oh, this sounds really interesting, but I have a few questions, I don't have time for this, I'll take it home and I'll do it later, and then they'll never do it. So it's how do we get them to commit to really filling out that questionnaire in a way that's going to entice them and magnetize them.
I like that idea.
Free coffee at the event.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Free coffee at the event.
Yeah.
But they're energetic, want to do things right now.
Get them all.
Where's the coffee?
I'm just going to hit pause for a quick second because I'm going to keep going, but I noticed some people join us. So for those of you who have been here, if you want to use your 2 feet, please go ahead. I won't take offense. If you want to stay, I'd love that too. If you want food, it's over here. I'm just going to do a quick overview of what the Leverage Lab is. Who just joined? You joined?
I did, yeah, I just came over.
You joined?
Stay where they are
joined?
and go deeper,
Great.
please do. If you want to check out a different team and get an idea, exposure to some different ideas.
The Leverage Lab is really about bringing values-led businesses together to solve complex problems that they couldn't solve on their own. So the groups are
Problems specifically for sustainability.
Can I get you guys to come front in a little bit closer, just to make it a bit easier to walk around the back so people can get around. Plus you don't need to be quite so far away from each other.
So Claire just asked problems specifically for sustainability.
And I understand that's not just environmental.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really good question, and I love your feedback on this, but I find when you say the word sustainability, people cringe. They've been spending the last 10 years being should on, you should do this, you should walk to work, you should, you shouldn't take your car, you should, and there's this guilt feeling around sustainability. So I feel like, and I'd love to have your opinion and feedback, that the word is icky. And I also know enough about business that sustainability challenges are the same as any old challenge. So I am conditioned to use the word sustainability, but I would like to not use it at all and just ask what your biggest business challenges are. And I guarantee that those challenges are sustainability challenges, because we're moving to a new economy. The way I see it is that we've got the old economy, which is your take, make, waste, and then the new economy, which is your borrow, use, return. So we've got all these businesses in Vancouver moving on a continuum from the take, make, waste to the borrow, use, return. And the ones who are innovative and up on it, where are they? The ones who are on this continuum, the purpose, passion innovators, the integrated strategies and the early adopters, and even the early majority are the ones who are going to move to this new borrow, use, return, capitalism 2.0 model a lot faster. Those are the businesses that are going to be profitable in the future. The ones that are stuck back in the past and the take, make, waste, and they're not changing, which is what these polar opposites are all about, are the ones that are going to get wiped out. So my business idea and theory of change inside of both the peer mentorship exchange and the Leverage Lab is to create cohorts to help change those systems, to help those businesses realize what they need to do to get themselves to the new economy. So
Competition between businesses. Like some business will come up and be like, I have this problem I'd love to solve. And I am an innovator, let's say, and I'm going to be a leader in this. And I'm going to be the first one to do this because this is my problem, this is my project, but I need help doing it. But then somebody else may be the same way, maybe in the same industry, and they want to also do the same thing. But they might not want to come together because of competition, intellectual property exchange.
I think that's a great question. So for those, there's lots of noise, I'm just going to repeat it because I think it's really good. The question was, what about the competitive edge, that we have in our business culture from the past of like, this is mine, I'm going to hold it close to myself, and that's how I'm going to make profit is by holding it close. And so how do we tackle that? And I think in shifting this change from the old economy to the new economy, we need leaders and we need people to open up and share in a different kind of way. So has anybody heard of, I'll tell you a little story that sort of speaks to that. Has anyone heard of the White Dog Cafe, Judy Wicks? So she was one of the first restaurant owners to source locally and get all of her meat from local cows and all of her lettuce from local farmers. And it was a secret that she sort of held, and it helped build her business up. And there was a moment in time where she was like, oh, this is my secret sauce. This is how I'm successful. But for her, it wasn't about being successful. What was more important to her was being able to have a just and sustainable world in the long run. So she turned that upside down and gave away her secret sauce to all of her competitors and said, look, this is what you need to do in order to be able to be successful. And it raised the bar, and all the local restaurants started doing it. And she, as a result, didn't go out of business. In fact, it made her a leader of the movement, and she's now, doing presentations all over the world. She's created a whole entire new market for herself, doing presentations instead of just being a restaurant owner. As a leader of this new local movement, she started an organization called BALI, the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies, and that spawned out of her idea of letting it go. So really what needs to happen, I think, is business owners need to go through a bit of a transition in terms of letting go and sharing and understanding that it's not necessarily a risk, but there's an opportunity for leadership inside of that. And I think that having safe spaces like the Leverage Lab to experiment with that is a good place to start. And one of the things that I do at the beginning of each Leverage Lab is set some ground rules. So I say, what does confidentiality mean to all of you? Let's figure out what a safe space is. And I make sure that I have critical mass with the group and agreement with everybody about what that looks like to them. And then we move forward from there. So I think it's a leadership challenge, but also a challenge of our current lifetime to bridge that gap between the old economy and the new economy. So great question.
So you're gonna have to remind me,
Take, make, waste.
take, make waste.
Borrow, use, return.
Okay, so that kind of ties into something that I've been sort of wondering if it applies to this with this idea of the whole circular economy. And businesses basically, their ways of feeding into the inputs of other businesses, sort of creating linkages so that one prime example might be mushroom, which is they make mushroom growing kits to use coffee. Would this in any way be about creating those linkages or finding ways to make those linkages or developing intermediaries that would, say, take this business here and this business here, but create there's no existing path, but you need a path to extract them? Is that
110%. I'm smiling because I think you get what I'm doing. So my theory is that if I pull a bunch of businesses into a room together who are tackling similar problems, that's what's going to come out of it. It's going to be like, look, I have this resource. Oh, you can use it. Oh, how can we work together? And at the end of it, after working together for an entire year, that sort of thing will start to happen. I'm going to...
So, sorry, just to finish off my
Yeah.
Would you be able to select cohorts based on their input needs and their waste products?
Based on their inputs, just talk me through that.
So essentially, companies would say, okay, here's what we need to make our product, and here's the byproducts that are basically going into landfills or their expenses that we have to deal with. But then there's other businesses who maybe immediately or somewhere down the line need that actual product as an input for their own business. So one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, I think we could definitely do that. I also feel like there's
like a whole category.
Yeah, I feel like that might be one category, but here's the thing about being a facilitator and this process is that I don't know what's going to happen when I put people in the room, and I think it's a little preemptive to presume that I know what the problems are going to be. I think that might be one way to sort of take a bunch of product people who are interested in getting together and grouping them that way by maybe can categorize them somehow by adding a question to the survey or something. And I'd love to explore that. I think it's a great idea. But I also feel like by leaving it open, I allow myself to be surprised about what some of the outcomes might be. I think one of the outcomes might be that they share resources, the same way with the Strathcona Business Improvement Association.
Because they do act as the intermediary between different companies. They facilitate ways to implement challenge.
Yeah. So I think that's one way. And I also feel like if we leave it open, there might be some things beyond our cognitive brains will be able to tell. I feel like some secret sauce will just happen by having them in a room together over a year, talking about their common challenges, talking about their common problems.
Out of the group that I was with the carbon neutral, one of the things is paper. So everyone uses paper, right? But you can't buy, it seemed like there was no such thing as carbon neutral paper.
Right.
But this one company in the group was a supplier. They didn't have that as part of their full portfolio, but they searched around North America. They found a place in North America that is able to issue carbon neutral paper because they care for the carbon footprints before they sell the paper.
Yeah.
So then he was able to source that and provide all the companies with carbon neutral paper. So carbon neutral footprint went down from that one idea.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And maybe there's several problems and several solutions. Like, I don't know. All I know is I don't see anybody creating the space. And I think if we bring people into a room and just facilitate the dialogue and bring them, allow them to commit for an entire year, that something cool will definitely come out of it.
They probably got discounts to bring your thing together.
Yeah. So the main thing was that there's no way we can reduce the carbon footprint by paper, and then a solution came.
I'd love to hear from some of those people who just joined and hear some of your ideas about what's going on in your head once you hear this. Do you think it's a terrible idea and that I should get another job, or what are your thoughts?
I just had another question, and I wanted to actually build off what you were saying earlier about having, like, say, a couple companies that are in a room that are, say, potentially facing the same problem or issue, but are all competitors,
Right.
kind of against each other. And so what you were saying is the whole idea is to really kind of be more open and open-minded and work together, because you're going to get much further in terms of the solution, in terms of progression, if you simply just open work together. So my question is, because my background's in marketing, so I'm always convincing people.
Yeah.
So my question is, what would be the idea of convincing someone who is closed-minded, who's like, no, that's my competitor. I want to find a solution to this, but I don't want to share it with them because I don't want them doing the same thing that I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm never going to be ahead of anyone.
Well,
And when they measure their success based on how ahead they are.
Especially if they're like small,
Yeah.
established, and
Yeah.
they're just trying to get them,
Totally
really
get
that
that.
small. And if they're big and established, they're like, yeah, sure, we can lose a little bit here, and then we'll gain it here.
Right.
With them, it's just like, we don't really have anything to lose at all, or we're
Right. So the idea with the Leverage Lab is to, and it also applies to any change that I've seen go on with, things from protesting to, any big issue and the different approaches to find solutions. So I feel like one approach is to push against and to work with the non-converted and that, trying to convince those people. And I've personally spent a lot of energy, going to protests and trying to convince the people who don't necessarily understand it. And it's exhausting and it doesn't work.
Is there like a troubleshoot format that you use in terms of like how do you compact, like what do you use to convince them? Do you use videos, do you use materials?
Well, here's-
do you like examples, stories of success and proof and evidence testimonials from other businesses?
Here's what I want you to try on for a second.
Yeah.
What if we don't convince them at all? What if we go over here and get the people who are already convinced and we say, hey, you guys are awesome and you're doing good work and we want to support you and we're going to pull you in a room together and talk about how you guys can get more of this and teach the others how. And so what you do is you start to really work with those who already get it, who are already convinced, who are already leaders, who are okay with sharing and are open to that idea. And you get them in a room together and you make them leaders, and you help them tackle problems, infrastructural barrier problems together, so that that infrastructure will sweep the rest of them up. And you don't even need to worry about convincing these people. How does that idea resonate with you guys? Am I up in the clouds?
Would you need a
What do think?
common problem then for them to solve? Like, I think you finding that common problem from all those businesses might be the hard thing. Might be just getting those really, they do that survey and you find those ding, 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 and high people, and you just, like, we need you in this room, and you guys figure out what this common problem is, and you guys figure it out. And it wouldn't be up to me to try to put you guys all together.
Yeah.
Because they will find that if they are those innovators, they
Yeah.
are those outside the box thinkers, then maybe they just need to let them go and organically form these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, very similar to that, because if I understand this correctly, one of your major challenges is developing those cohorts. But if it was more of a self-organizing system, then people are going to seek out the ones that they want to collaborate with, and the ones that they feel that they're going to find the most value.
How
So
would- What would a structure look like so that people could do that?
how that would work?
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
definitely
think-
one of my challenges. Is how do you slice and dice it? How do you get different people in the groups?
Self-organizing systems are one of the most, misunderstood concepts out there, but it does happen, it does work, and it might be something you want to look into.
It would almost be like creating a roster of all these local companies and getting their names and company information, top 5 problems or issues that each company is dealing with.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, sending that information out to every company, be like, okay, this market is dealing with, needing demos and not knowing who to contact. Well, I'm just dealing with it too.
Speed dating for businesses?
Speed dating for like those crazy innovators. You got 1 minute, go down, sit down, you just gotta keep it, but you're forced to kind of do it, but then immediately you're forced to do it, but it'll be fun, and then get them to sit down and actually go through it. And then they gotta keep moving around, and then at the end, like, they're not gonna leave halfway in between.
Yeah.
They're gonna be, people are generally respectful of the situation, and they wouldn't just like get up and continue until it's all done.
Yeah.
And they would have talked with 20, 30 people, and then right away, as soon as you meet somebody, you get that, I like you or I hate you.
I like that idea a lot. I like that. Any other comments from people? How's this sitting with you?
I do a lot of volunteering with Rotary and Rotaract clubs, and I find that you need a certain structure of the evening in order for people to come out of their shell. If you just say, go into this room and go socialize with your peers, people get very uncomfortable, right? But if there's a dinner involved, or if you serve tea, or if you are there for a common issue, then people are much more willing to sort of partake in a process of finding a solution, or partake in whatever is going on, whether that be the tea or whatever, as a distraction.
Yeah.
To sort of let them forget about the fact that they are there to socialize, The thing is you're targeting the businesses that already care a lot about social cohesion. That is their number one priority, probably, in starting their business. So it shouldn't be hard for you to get the right people in the room talking to each other.
Yeah. Well, and it's not. I mean, like, I've already put a cohort together and I've got the right, but I want to create a model because my personal goal is to make large scale change. And so for me, my eyes light up because I get excited about the idea that this could be scalable. Like, I could do it with this small group, but then I could also use that to build a model that I could help other groups with and go into different industries. I have dual citizenship. I'd love to go into the US and start to make changes over there. So that's why I'm like taking time to sort of talk with you guys and get feedback and figure out, what the best model is so that I can really have scale with it.
If you were really serious about it and not like egoist, not wanting to do your own thing and nothing but your own thing, I would partner with ASIC or Rotary or some other international organization, like other organizations do, and go through an established network. I would for sure. Because, there's certain, and then you could still do your own thing, but then if you established yourself within another network, then you'd be able to go much further. It would accelerate you.
Yeah. So one idea that I had, and I'm doing some market research right now to try and figure out what the best way to partner with other organizations is. But what I'm hearing in the preliminary research that I'm doing is that some hubs, let's just call them hubs, so maybe they're Van City, maybe they're the Rotary, maybe let's just call them hubs. Some hubs don't want to do the admin. They actually want me to come in and do it all, and they don't want the attention they don't want. But other hubs want to own it. And so I was thinking about having various options. So one could be a licensee model where I train the trainer. I train you how to do it as the hub head, and you hire me to come in and do the facilitation kickoff, and then I let you run with it. So that could be one option for hubs that want to take it all on. Whereas another hub, like Van City, my conversations with them yesterday, they're like, we're strapped. We don't want to take this on. I don't want to do the admin. I just want an added bonus to offer our business members. You do it. So then that could be another option for businesses, for hubs to get involved. Does that get then too complex? Could you see it being an option?
How different
process?
is this idea to something like Pechakucha or Chakucha and TED Talks and other sort of professional organizations like the Lions Club? Although I think Lions is more retirees, I don't know. But how is yours unique? Is it because it's on a more local scale?
It's because it's like a lot of those things are, so TED Talks is about conversations of meaning, which is the commonality, but this is a fairly tight group of people who are intentionally put in the room,
They're repeatedly going.
maximum 12, commit to an entire year, and it's facilitated with intention. So each session they go to, they're, the first workshop, they're figuring out what the common problem is. All this stuff is stagnant. We've talked about having it different ways, but this is just kind of my latest. What does success look like? What's a framework for innovating together? And the outcome of workshop 1 would be, a laundry list of ideas. Workshop 2 is really prototyping what these ideas might look like. Workshop 3 is narrowing it down to 3 business plans for the project, and then getting consensus around which one to pursue. So, being really strategic about taking this group in an intentional way towards figuring out what the problem is together, and then really having a solution. And it's all kind of informed with, I don't know if you're familiar with Theory U, Otto Scharmer. His work is really about like deep listening and really figuring out what the real challenges are, as opposed to just saying, oh, the problem's climate change. Well, yes, that's a problem, but the deeper issue behind it is really the way that our society interacts with nature, and that we're living in an economic system that's unsustainable. And so really this process helps you hone down to what the real problems are, and then working with each other to help to create real solutions to them.
So, is the problem bringing people into cohorts? Is that one of the major issues that you're facing? Because if that is, if I understand correctly, then wouldn't creating the cohorts and then finding out what the common challenge is, wouldn't that be kind of like, wouldn't you want to develop the cohorts around the common challenge?
So 5-minute warning, guys. 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think I could see it going either way. I just want to create rigor around it because I want it to be a scalable movement. So my idea of how to create rigor around it was to develop a survey that would put people into these groups. And once people are into these groups, then I can start to say, okay, let's pull you guys together and figure out what your problem is. And I don't know.
It's almost like putting the cart before the horse, kind of, that same challenge. You're trying to bring people together and then figure out if they have a common challenge. If you can find out what their common challenge is ahead of time, and then group them around that, and then put them together and put them through the rest of the work.
That's still rigorous.
Yeah,
That's still okay in qualitative research.
just asking them what their challenge is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still like it's allowing them to form their own challenges, not necessarily doing a top-down approach to to putting them in groups,
Yeah.
to conglomerating them, is still rigorous. It's just qualitative, and it's just a different approach.
Yeah.
That could be your self-organizing system too. It's, if you created a central location where people could bring up their challenges, and people can join, of course, acknowledge that is an issue. They could self-select and form around it. It's just a thought. It needs
Oh, it's
more
totally
action.
resonating.
Those two things are like really merging ideas, yeah. They do the event right to come up with like an event and having everyone just say bring forward like their problems or kind of issues and using that as a stepping stone to say, okay, this is what we have available. And then maybe putting people in groups as stage one, and then stage two would be like, okay, now that they're seeing, you'd be able to filter out who's committed to this and who's not just on stage one, and based on the commitment that they can go through the survey process. But I wouldn't hit them with the survey process like right away. That would be like stage two, just to see how committed they are. Because the survey is really to narrow them down.
Self-assessment.
Yeah, it's a self-assessment, but it's really to narrow down exactly where they are.
Maybe that's part of the application process.
Yeah.
Ha! You guys are brilliant. We've got 2 minutes, so we've got to wrap up. I just wanted to say that usually how I work it with the peer mentorship exchanges is that I go to conferences. So it's already that gathering place. People are already convening for that reason. So basically what I would do, what I'm getting there, what I would do is I would go to the conference for people. I'm like, look, I'm going to offer your conference people value by doing these programs. Give me half an hour in your conference time. So in that half an hour, I facilitate what are your challenges and then group people accordingly and then say, here's an opportunity for you guys to work with these people year round. In order to get involved, you have to fill out the self-assessment and the application, and then pay your dues. And then I would group them that way.
And what would be the paid dues for that?
Well, I mean, I gotta eat somehow, so people have to pay me to facilitate it.
Yeah.
So I have a little spreadsheet that I use to figure out. My desktop's really scary right now, but to figure out how to charge out my time. So it's really like the time I spend in the conferences. This is a larger conversation, but it basically gives me a number on what I need to charge people in order to cover my time.
So it's based on time?
It's based on time and resources to get to the conference, to pay for the conference, everything that it would cost. So you guys are awesome. I've got a lot from this today. I just want to say thank you so much. If you're interested in helping me move forward, I would love your help. Thank you so much.